Real estate with Champions Real Estate Team, your Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Ambassador Real Estate Company. My name is Mark Wehner, the second team leader here. So we jump on here every Wednesday, give you a rundown what's going on in the real estate market here in the Omaha metro area over the last week. Joining me as always is Russ Williams with Williams Mortgage. He'll kind of give us our insight to what's going on in the mortgage industry, but we always like to start it off with a quick tip. So our quick tip of this week is, when we're looking at buying a home, one of the first steps is talking with a lender. So obviously Russ Williams is a great lender to get in contact with. One of the more important things with Russ is that he's local. So if I need to go knock on his door, I can go to his office, I can talk to him. I think that plays a huge role when selecting a lender. So whatever lender you decide to work with, my recommendation is find somebody local that you know, like, and trust. If that happens to be Russ, awesome. He's a great resource, wealth of knowledge. He teaches the finance class for the real estate class at the Results Coaching School of Real Estate. So he's teaching the agents financing. So he's, a coach, a mentor, for a lot of agents out there and even newer agents to help them get started. So it's a great resource for you when you're thinking of buying that first home. So the nice thing too about Russ, the difference, so there's loan officers and mortgage brokers. So a loan officer typically works at a, like a Wells Fargo, First National Bank, that they have one bank, one product, essentially what that bank offers to their home buyers. They can't shop any other rates. They're really just at that one specific bank. So a mortgage broker has different investors, different banks and avenues that they can reach out to and say, okay, your debt to income ratio is here, your credit score is here. Here's, 4 or 5 different, lenders that we work with that we can shop. It's kind of the same thing like an insurance agent. State Farm can only sell State Farm insurance, whereas a insurance broker can shop a bunch of different ones, whether it's Progressive, Aflac, all those kind of ones, and they can shop and get you the best rate on your insurance. Same thing goes with a mortgage broker. So, those are things to consider. We work with a bunch of different lenders. So, we have many resources. Russ is just one of them that does a great job. So, so that's kind of our quick tip. Working with somebody local really helps out. I know I've had clients in the past that I've worked with, out of state lenders, and it's kind of tough because they're trying to send them their 1099s, send all their tax returns. They're on the phone with them trying to explain that if they're commission based and how things work. Whereas if you can go and sit down at a desk with somebody and have a conversation with somebody, they can see, how things shake out. And it's so much easier, so much simpler, that I found. And the key is when you're, a month into the process, if you've got an accepted contract, you can't really go back and change lenders at that time, because then you're going to push closing date back. That seller has to approve it, so making that selection and doing your due diligence up front when you're starting that home buying process is when that decision needs to be made. And a lot of times, a lot of real estate agents that are out there, we'd love to work with you here at Champions, but if you got a great agent, awesome, take their recommendation on who the lenders that they work with and they're comfortable with, because if they've been in the business, for any amount of time, they've built those relationships and know the lenders that are doing, getting the job done. So really appreciate Russ helping us out, with my clients and even on here on our video. So, so let's jump into what's going on the real estate market here. So we saw another big jump in active listings here, which is great. So we're seeing a lot of homes come on the market. So as you can see the graphics, so hopefully it's popped up for you here. So we got 505 new listings as of about 8:30 this morning. Over the last 7 days. Last week was about 330. Previous week was 660. Was it? Yeah, 640. So we're seeing, those people that have gotten their house after, everyone's got their Christmas decorations, holiday decorations put away, and they're getting their houses ready to rock and roll on the market. New contracts. So that's kind of stayed pretty steady right around that 250 mark. Sold homes, that jumped up a little bit. So those people that wrote the contracts, right around Christmas time, getting into those houses. So congratulations to them. So that new contract number is what I want to talk about. So obviously that number has not jumped, but we've seen new listings go up a little bit. So those that have kind of been on the fence, don't wait till the spring. In my honest opinion, if you're ready to rock and roll, I think we're going to have more buyers and more pent-up activity. I know Russ was talking about a number that 1 in 5 people, based off of Zillow's data, is looking to buy a house, current homeowners, that means those are more houses coming on the market, but those are also more buyers coming in the market. And if you're contemplating buying a house this year and you have the means and the ability to pull the trigger here in the next month or two, I think you're going to capitalize on, getting out there before that huge rush comes, in my honest opinion. Obviously, we don't have a crystal ball, but we had a mastermind meeting yesterday. So we meet once a month at Berkshire Hathaway with, I think there's like 15 or so agents in there just talking about what's going on. It's great to hear other perspectives from what other agents are seeing, from what their clients are seeing, from a national, Vince Lisi, who's our broker, He's in all of our meetings and stuff. So you hear a good conglomeration of agents talking about it. But that's kind of what we're seeing in that regard. So 30,000 foot view here of our other graphic that we pull up. So just kind of give you a big picture side of it. So we have 2,500 homes in the Omaha and Lincoln MLS. So that's a combined, basically the MLS, kind of almost in the eastern side of Nebraska here. And then we got narrowing that down into the Omaha Metro, Douglas Sarpy County. We have 1,479 existing homes. We are at about 550. New construction down just a little bit. So we're starting to see some of those new construction spec homes out there that builders are offering, incentives for people, be it $5,000 on closing costs, rate buy downs on those existing spec homes. But on the new construction, we have a couple builders that are on our mastermind. They're seeing a lot more new construction, custom homes being built out there, which is good for them, in that regards. But there's still some good spec homes out there that if you're looking to almost kind of get a deal on a house, that's where you're probably going to find it here in the next month or so. But then once those things get off the shelf, now you're into 2024 pricing for those brand new ones. Months inventory, 3 months, and our average sold price 323. So this graphic is kind of the good 30,000 foot view. That previous graphic really shows that we had 500 up, because when you look at our numbers here, the 1,500, in the Douglas Sarpy County, that number doesn't change much. But when we look week to week, of the specific one in, one out aspect of it, that's where we see those numbers. But it's good to have a good idea of what's going on, and keep an idea what's all out there, and how to track those. But I think, what I'm seeing out there is that in the next month or two, if you're thinking about buying a home, don't wait till the weather gets nice. Be out there this last week when it's below zero, because you're not going to have a lot of competition, and those sellers that have those homes out there, they're motivated to sell. I just closed on a house on Monday that I listed at the beginning of January, and we had showings, and my seller's like, "Hey, we got a great offer. We don't need to, go and shop at anything." And I was like, "Hey, we got other showings that are scheduled for tomorrow." He's like, "Mark, I'm comfortable. I'm happy. We got a great price for the home. The buyer's going to get a great home. They're happy. Everybody was happy. It was an easy, smooth transaction, and rather than you get a couple months from now and you got 10 offers on a home, and as a seller, you're like, "Oh my God, which one do we take?" And and that's our goal, is to get that, maximize that equity for them, and then you get some buyers, "Well, I think I overpaid for the house," and blah, 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 and so if you can get out there and have a good meeting of the minds between a buyer and a seller, I know we're going to be getting 50-degree weather coming up. I think I saw in the extended forecast now. Who knows? Maybe they're at 50% of the time. So who knows? It could be below zero, in a week or two. So, but I'll be interested to see what those pending numbers, which means contracts written, over the next couple of weeks, where we're going to be at. And that'll kind of be indicative of what we're seeing. But honestly, any of my clients that have talked to me over the last year, maybe they took a sidelines because there's 8% interest rates. Now's the time, to get back out there, reach back out to your lender, get an updated pre-approval letter, get with Russ, and all that kind of fun stuff. So, because you always see a lot of times people wait for we file our tax returns and get that out there too. So the other, I could keep rolling on here, but anyways, let's get with Russ and go on what's going on in the mortgage side of it. How are we doing, Russ?
Doing pretty well. Mortgage rates have really been kind of moving sideways here for the last couple of weeks. The Federal Reserve Bank has been kind of putting the kibosh on the nice rally that we saw in bond prices that really brought rates down from where we were at the end of October, early November of last year. And we expect it probably will be in this range until we see some really strong data suggesting that inflation really is dead. Hopefully that will be the case. Obviously, we have some things in the Middle East that could affect that, but inflation appears to be coming down. But I'm going to echo what you said, Mark. Zillow's data is suggesting that 1 out of 5 current homeowners out there would love to sell and go somewhere else this year. And for those folks that are thinking, "Hey, that'll be more inventory, more opportunity for you," that is true. But you've got to keep in mind that those people that are selling have to go somewhere as well. So it very likely is that they're buying another home themselves. So I go back to what I call the law of the iceberg. A lot of folks will say, 2/3 of the iceberg is below the water, 1/3 of it is above. So if you're waiting for lower rates, which I want lower rates for you too, we all do. If rates were to go down, that likely will mean more buyers come off the fence, and that could put upward pressure on prices and make it more difficult for you to win a bid. If rates stay the same, if you bought the home today, as opposed to waiting for 6 months to get the very same rate, you're getting that home potentially at today's price, as opposed to likely a higher price you're going to pay in 6 months. Or if rates happen to go up in the next 6 months, which isn't likely, but it's possible, you're not only paying more for that house in 6 months, but also you're having a much higher monthly payment. So I encourage you, if you're thinking of buying this year, this is the time to get out and do it now. Certainly, if rates go down, we can right size that rate with a refinance. Mark has mentioned many times, marry the house, date the rate. This is not a permanent loan. We can always fix that later on. But just based upon the numbers, and Mark and his team can go through these numbers with you. I encourage you to challenge Mark on this. And I think once you've seen the data, you'll see that we have a long period of time here before we catch up as far as inventory relative to the demand that's out there. So I encourage you to get out there now and buy a house. If you look at the last 63 years, in Nebraska, we've seen home prices rise by a little over 3.5%. In the last 10 years, it's closer to about 7 or 8. In the last 5 years, it's closer to about 4.5 to 6%, depending upon where we're looking in the state. So the likelihood of home prices softening is, in my opinion, not very good, especially when you look at the data that Mark and his team can show you. So get out there and buy, folks.
Yeah, and even if you're looking to think about, I was thinking from the real estate investing side, as we've seen, a lot of this appreciation has built up a lot of equity in houses, and you may be able to cash out, refi, and pull some of that money out and look at real estate as an investment, just a different option to hedge against that inflationary pressure that we see out there. So I've talked to a couple other, just talked to another potential investor yesterday about it, and just kind of going over what's good, bad, or the ugly about doing it. And that's what we do, and just kind of give them the options. It doesn't make sense for you. Like, it doesn't matter to me if you want to buy a real estate investment, but I want you to know what the options are, and does it make sense for you, in regards to that. So, I mean, you don't really, everyone talks about cash flow and things of that sort, but, if the interest rates are higher, the likelihood you're going to cash flow a lot is slim, and so I think you got to be realistic. Because, if you're listening to things on Instagram and the social media side of it and passive income, and it's passive to a point, but trust me, I mean, I've got a couple investment properties myself, and it's not always passive, and but it's well worth it. When you take a look at what the equity, I just bought my first one in 2021, and the equity I've built in 3 years is crazy. I've kept that equity in there. Now I could simply, cash out, refi, and I wouldn't even be really reintroducing more capital, more money into my next investment property. I could basically be buying it with that equity, and just kind of, they call it like the snowball, method of just keep snowballing it. And you're not necessarily having to introduce that capital, again. So, but, and there's different, there's good things and bad things about being a real estate investor. So happy to talk to anybody. Love chatting about it. I get excited about it. But I really appreciate anyone that's watching this video. And if we can help in any way, feel free to reach out to us, 672-7670-290-8936. Yeah, like, comment, all that good stuff. If you have anything, direct message us on Instagram or Facebook or wherever, or on Twitter. I guess what's X now? I don't know. Anyways, so we're very easy to find, so appreciate it. And if we can help in any way, love to. And we'll see everybody next week. And